Hi everybody. Happy Monday. Okay. Um, my dog wants to say hi. Come on, come on. He's not in the mood because yesterday, so I took him to the park last night and he didn't see a single squirrel. So he was grumpy the entire time. He was grumpy on our way home. He was grumpy when we were home. So he wasn't able to use up all of his energy, and so I'm gonna have to take him fetching today. Okay, after this live. How is everybody? It's Jungkook's birthday. Okay, let me say hi to everyone. Lucy in the Sky, Amy, Kathleen, Eliz, Evie, Leah, Darren, Carla Girl, Reg, Cindy, Dawn Marie, Ebony, Amy, Carol Faye, Seda, Warren, MLB, Mary, Sarah, I am Claudia, Kathleen, Fire Butterfly on Twitch, Patty on X. Debak, they're saying hi to you. Reg says hi. Angel Star says hi. Cindy says hi, Debak. Halina, hello from Florida. How hot is it there? How humid is it? Kez, so many goodies today. Te, JK launch video on Te, yes. Lots of goodies. Amy saying hi, Debak. Just just the tea, please. BTS paved the way. Good morning. Marian, Nate. What is that? What is that flag? Fire Butterfly, Nikon Lady, Joe, magandang umaga. By the way, in the Philippines, Christmas celebration has started. It's a 4-month Christmas celebration. It's the longest Christmas celebration in the world. And if any of you wants to start feeling the spirit of Christmas, head on to the Philippines because we are starting there. Carla Girl, Fire Butterfly, Lucy Taylor, Sophie, Kathleen, Sue, Bang Luna, A. Brown, Don Marie, JJ, Arlene, Mycel, Juveline, Linax, CQ, DD, Neil Vanille, Alina, Salmart, Farah, Raquel. They're all saying hi to you, Debak. Fire Butterfly says hi. Pia, Hitomi, Nate, Kugi, Mexico, hi. A. Brown is saying hi to you. Dawn Marie, Stania, Reg, JK, how scary. I would turn on the lights. Bang, Fire Butterfly, Helena. Okay, Linda Lee. All right. Pia, it's Christmas on Hallmark Channel. It's always Christmas on Hallmark Channel. So yeah, in the Philippines, we start our celebration September as soon as the Burr months hits. As soon as the Burr months hit, then we're starting our celebration. It goes on for 4 months, and we take it to heart. Like a lot of the stores actually transform, and they change their uh, design for the story into Christmas. Now we do run into Halloween, and it's also becoming like a major thing in the Philippines. It didn't used to be because Halloween for us is actually a day to visit. Oh, Wales is in. Okay, hi Nate. How's it in England? I'm so curious whether all the things that the photos that I'm seeing are true. Is it really a little chaotic? Okay, so So everything changes now. It used to be that the Halloween in the Philippines, this is a little cultural sharing. So Halloween in the Philippines, they used to be like a commercialized thing because it was more for us to visit uh, people, the loved ones who passed away, and so we would head to the cemetery, and that's where we would kind of party. Not really party because it's supposed to be solemn, but it's a chance for like family members to actually come together again because we, well, we honor the people that passed away. And not for England, but there is some in Wales also. Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope that everything gets resolved. I hope that, especially, well, first and foremost, I hope that the crimes stop happening. I know that it's been highest in, the last several years, and a lot of the victims are kids. So I hope that things settle. So I think my auntie actually lived there for, not in Wales, but in England for, I don't know, 30 years, I guess. Um, we celebrated All Saints Day and visit the cemeteries. Oh, okay. So it's same for the Philippines. But so that was the main thing for us. It wasn't really like the trick or treat. Those weren't like, or costume parties or whatever. That wasn't really a thing for us. That's pretty recent. So it used to be that we would just, family members would gather in the cemetery, and we would spend the night there. We would just like pray or whatever, and then eventually it became like sort of a mini reunion. And also, like, more and more people are actually getting into, like, a lot of people are like living, because the awareness has been raised. A lot of people would actually leave behind some sort of like a last will and testament, or like a letter telling everybody that if you're gonna visit me or whatever, don't be solemn. I want you guys to party and whatever. So I guess that becomes like a part of the custom too. And then recently it was actually started by stores, like department stores, or shopping centers in the Philippines, where they started doing trick or treat. So if you take your kids to the shopping centers, and then they can go store per store, then they'll get something, but they have to be in costume. And then now some villages and some areas, neighborhood, would actually practice the same. But that's pretty recent. When I say recent, I mean like the last decade or so. But it used to be like a more solemn thing for us. That so it didn't really come in conflict with the Christmas celebration for us. Predominantly still Christmas that's being celebrated. It's one of the things that I love about my country, which I did not always appreciate when I was still there, but I started appreciating it when I moved here. So that's one. And then, um, as you go, it's another very common thing for us would be Kris Kringle, or the exchange gift. So around October or November, people will start thinking about exchange gifts. So there's two types. One is that during the Christmas party, company Christmas party or family Christmas parties, we would just exchange gifts. So we draw lots and then exchange gifts. But then the other thing is that there's a 12 days leading up to Christmas is when we would, so each day there's a theme. So for example, in a classroom, so there's like 12 days, and then there's a theme, and it's like cheap, like $1, for example, or half a dollar, 50 cents. There's a theme, like for example, something soft. So for that day, you'd exchange gifts, and you're not supposed to know who that was, who is your Santa. So you'll exchange gifts, and then leading up to the grand exchange gift, which is the Christmas party. So that's another tradition that I really miss. And then, yeah, I think then we usually, I know that in the US, when your child gets christened, you have most of the time just one godparent, one set of godparent, right? Or sometimes just one, like either a godmother or a godfather. In the Philippines, you have lots of godparents. And then usually the children visit, the parents would take their kids to the houses of the godparents. And then you get blessed because it's a I think you know that it's primarily a Catholic country, so you get blessed by the godparents, and usually they give you something like a gift or money or whatever. um, yeah, and then there's usually a family reunion. We stay up until 12 midnight of the 24th, and then that's where we feast. So that's because that's the celebration of the birthday of Christ, and so it's like a celebration. So we eat, we have a meal. Some families would stick, they would stay up and just drink until the morning, and then 25th is when we go around, and then the same thing for Christmas. Sorry, for New Year, all the way until midnight of the 31st, going into the first, is when we stay up and then do our celebration at midnight. And then on the first is when we go around people to visit. So just as a cultural share of what's going on in the Philippines. But we are, yeah, we're very, it's 4 month celebration. We also have I forget what it's called, but in Catholic there's like you go to mass early in the morning for 13 days, and then 13 days I think, novena, and then on the third, and then you're supposed to make a wish and God's gonna grant it to you. So that's another thing. So okay, just a cultural share. But it's a happy one. I mean, if you really want to feel the spirit of Christmas, go to the Philippines, and it's way better if you go to the provinces instead of the city, because that's where all these things actually happen. Same in my family for Christmas. Yeah, isn't it happy? Eventually, they'll feel more comfortable doing. Okay, all right. So so the okay. So since you guys have been talking about this, something that I want to address. Um, why are the Tannies not doing a lot of live stream? You know, Simbang Gabi, there you go. That's what it's called, Simbang Gabi. But yeah, so midnight mass. So okay, so seven mornings. So it's not 13. I'm so sorry. So it's 7 mornings. um, midnight mass is what we call it. And then there's also a mass leading up to the 12 midnight Noche Buena, which is the midnight meal to celebrate the birthday of Christ. Okay, so just wanted to address this because I see a lot of people in different social media talking about BTS members not doing a lot of live streams, and then especially with the recent events, or even the previous events, like this issue about Suga and Suga choosing not to do any live stream, and then Jimin and then Jungkook. So I I want us to I hope that we can lead this. Whenever you make people realize, whenever you declare that BTS members are doing something in response to the hate or in response to a scandal or something, you're making the other person, the hater, actually win. And that applies even to you, right? Like, for example, oh, I can't trust people anymore because you cheated on me. So that means the cheater actually won, right? And it's a double loss because he already cheated on you, or she already cheated. I'm not just talking about romantic stuff, by the way. And it's a double win for the person because outside of cheating on you, now you also lost trust on anybody else while that person is just going about their lives. So the more we talk about, and Jimin not posting for Jungkook's birthday for the first time in 12 years or 13 years, that's like saying, like, okay, Jimin is doing all of this because you won, because he's reacting to what you said. The more we say it, the more we encourage these people to keep on posting what they are posting, because they know that they are affecting the lives of the Tannies and our lives as well as fans, right? The more we say, oh, I hate you for doing all of this, then you're granting them the victory. You're giving them way too much power over your life as a fan, and way too much power over the career of BTS members. So don't declare it. Think about it this way. If what BTS members are trying to do is, or at least this is my read. I'm not a member of BTS. Obviously, I'm not a member of, not an employee of Big Hit. So this is just how I read things. Um, what they're trying to do is to keep our focus on their music. So they want us to concentrate on what, on their art, and because that seems to be what they're trying to do as well. They're keeping their focus on their art. The mere fact that they uprooted themselves for 2 months, moved to the US to get the album done as soon as possible, worked tirelessly, and they've talked about it in one they themselves said that 7 days a week, almost 7 days a week, they would work. They just have like half a day on a weekend to rest, and they can't do much, right? So that means that they're trying to concentrate on what, in finishing the album, to just getting things done. and and now we're hearing news about them shooting a music video, probably going back to the US again, to the, who knows. So that that is what they're trying to do, just to keep us focused on their art. And so we should do the same as well. um, we don't know, that is the truth. We don't know why they're not doing live streams. They don't have any obligation to do so, by the way. uh, that's, they don't owe us that. That's something that they just give to us. But it's not, we shouldn't be expecting it. We should be thankful when it's there, but we shouldn't be expecting it. So just keep in mind that whatever it is that they are doing, it's all in the interest of being able to provide us the best type of work that they can do. And don't put the haters in it. They don't have any effect. BTS are smart. Whatever they're doing, this is very much strategic. So it isn't because, oh, they're trying to get out of, take, stay out of the public attention or the public eye. It's more like because they want the concentration to be on their music. So the haters has nothing to do with it. And I think by now, I think I'm pretty sure BTS members know that no matter what happens, they will always have our support. I think by now they know that. We should, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be reinforcing it, but we should just concentrate on that. We should just keep on making sure that they know that we're here, we're supporting them, leave positive messages on Weverse, on X, on Facebook, on IG. But but keep it about that we're here, and that whenever they're ready. So I hope we can stop talking about, oh, they're not doing it because of this, because of the haters, because of what happened recently. Who cares? I think it's about time. If there's anything that we need to emphasize, what we need to emphasize is that no matter what happens in their personal lives, it's their personal lives, right? But like, and I'm not just talking about Jimin. I'm also talking about the rest of the boys, because they've all had their issues in the past on their personal end. And it's about time that we shouldn't. I mean, how many times has Justin Bieber been seen before he got married? Nobody cares, right? And all of the celebrities, nobody cares about their person. That's the same thing that we should be starting. If there's anything that BTS armies should emphasize now, is that the personal lives of the artists are their personal lives, and we shouldn't be concerning ourselves with it. Who, it's none of our business. It's entirely theirs. And all of these haters, like for example, the shippers that keep on saying that, oh, this and that, he did this, he was this, and he went out with it. They're saying that, and this I can tell you definitively, they themselves don't believe it. They're saying it just because they want to egg you on. They want to irritate you. They want to get a reaction out of you, and you're giving it to them. So they will keep on doing it for as long as you're reacting, because that's what they want, your reaction. Okay, so I hope let's move past that, and let's just be happy with whatever it is that they're giving us. It's the birthday of Jungkook, and he was gracious enough and generous enough to actually do a live stream on the eve of his birthday. Imagine that, he spent it with us, and I was really hoping that he would trend all over the world. But I guess we were too focused on something else to even trend that. But so something like that, like he went live for what, an hour and a half, just singing songs with us, for us, and it was supposed to be his birthday. He could have spent it with his parents or friends or whatever. He chose to spend it with us, and instead of just fully concentrating on that, and even Taeyong actually said it in an interview, it's our Maknae's birthday, please concentrate on that. And we're still too distracted to just concentrate purely on that. I was hoping that, like all armies, the only thing that we will be tweeting about or posting about will be his birthday. But okay, uh, can we try and lead that charge? Like, who cares? Like, don't. I've told you, any kind of reaction is a reaction. Is That's what they want. So just block. The minute someone says something, just block. You don't need them in your life. I promise you. Once you get used to getting feeds, posts that are just fun, that is addicting. That is addicting. So okay. Exactly. He was visibly tired, by the way. He was visibly tired. And he kept on saying it, like, oh, I don't have a lot of energy. I worked out a lot today. He was visibly tired. You can see it in his eyes, you can see it in his demeanor. We've seen him alive and, energetic. We've seen him that way. But in this live he was like kind of down. And he explained why. He said he worked out really hard that day and he didn't have the energy. He could have just rested, and he chose to spend it with us. So let's give him, just concentrate on our math. It's his day, right? Let's concentrate on that. And then when it's the birthday of other members, we'll concentrate on that as well. And again, if you're gonna post anything, just post about their achievements, their music, hype the posts of other influencers or other people that are concentrating on their music. It'll do us better. Okay. All right, dynamite to 2 billion. So let's do the news and updates first. How's that? Are you okay with news and updates first? To be honest, the fandom reaction drives the media, good or bad. Some are just so hype focused on figuring out the guy's dating life speech. I don't, um, I no, I just let's just concentrate on their music. It's just you know, it's none of our business. It's really none of our business. It's why I don't understand. Okay, let's do news and updates first. So, Spotify is actually expected to remove streams. So, as you know, at the end of the month, they always remove some streams. I think they started this year. January or February was when they started doing it. And so here you go. I'm tracking them. I'm tracking them, but I'm only tracking our boys. If there's anybody you want me to track, let me know. But so this is our road to 1 billion for each of our members. So I limited to just August, so it's a little narrow, so we can see things better. Okay, so for BTS, we're now tracking a new song because Fake Love crossed 1 billion. So we're tracking DNA and Life Goes On. So for DNA, 716 million, and then for Life Goes On, it's 827 million. Okay, so I guess that's a little over, not a little over, but 173, less than 173 million for us to get it across 2 billion for Life Goes On. So let's stream that. Would be great if we can actually get it across 2 billion before their comeback. And then for Jin, Don't Say You Love Me is the one that seems to be, that's his fastest running, the to 1 billion. It is currently at 403 billion. It's definitely going to overtake the astronaut. The astronaut is at 592 million right now, and it only gained 1 million since August 18. So I guess people are really very much into Don't Say You Love Me, because that's from 361. It is now at 403 million. Okay, so this is by the end of August 31. Okay, and then Running Wild is 386 million. It gained about 4 million. For Suga, we're tracking two, Hegum and the Cheetah. So Hegum is still moving faster, 627 million, and then the Cheetah is 417 million. So The cheetah actually didn't do so bad. It was 3 million gains, so I guess that's okay. But Hegum is the one that's moving faster, so gained about 12 million, I guess. For J Hope, we're tracking four songs: Sweet Dreams, Mona Lisa, More, and Killing It Girl. So Sweet Dreams is 134, gained 3 million since August 18. And then Mona Lisa gained 7 million, 183 to 190. And then, okay, Anne, bye. Say hi to your family for me. Hope you guys have a great time. And then for More, it only gained 1 million. So I think this is going to be left behind. Killing It Girl from 315 to 316. We're definitely slowing down. So come on, people. That's for More. So, but for Killing It Girl, 111 to 126. Not bad. But I guess Don't Say You Love Me is the one that has a chance of becoming the most streamed song for 2020, unless BTS releases something. And then for RM, Wildflower, it gained 4 million. And then for Jimin's Set Me Free, from 428 to 430. Okay. Hi, Bob, German. And then Friends by V, from 530 to 534. This song is so, I can't understand this song. Sometimes it would gain 20, sometimes it gain 30. So something's pushing it. I just don't know. Okay, and then Slow Dancing from 521 to 524. And then finally for Jungkook, Dreamers, 490 to 492. I don't know what we're going to be tracking next after this one, but he's still pretty far from 1 billion. I just don't know what it is that we're going to track next for Jungkook's 1B. Okay. Now Road to 2 billion. So and Road to 3 billion. BTS, my God, has Fake Love, Boy with Love, My Universe, and Butter. Of the three, I guess the one that gained the most is Butter, from 1.379 to 1.383. And then My Universe, 1.493 to 1.499. Boy with Love for one from 1.296 to 1.3. And then Fake Love crossed to 1 billion. So 994, and it's now 1 billion. Okay, 1.003. V's Love Me Again from 1.069 to 1.073. And then Jimin has two songs in 1 billion, Like Crazy and Who, but Like Crazy is the one that's closer to 2 billion, from 1918 to 1959. But this is not surprising because it's just the stream of the song is consistent. Like Crazy from 1.383 to 1.387. And then for Jungkook, he has three songs at 1 billion: Standing Next to You, Left and Right, and 3D. So I guess the one that's probably gonna reach 2 billion would be Standing Next to You, from 1.267 to 1.278. And then left and right, 1.108 to 1.112. And then 3D crossed 1 billion. So 986 million to 1.011 billion. Okay. And then two songs at 2 billion, about to cross 3 billion. Seven is the one that's closer, 2.496 billion. And from and then now it's 2.523 billion. And then Dynamite, 2.109 to 2.116. Okay. So that so you know what to add in your in your Spotify list. Now, also don't forget to vote for Jimin on MTV VMAs, uh, K-pop Best K-pop Act, and also he has a chance, I believe, to be nominated in Billboard. So if you can continue buying his vinyl, it would be great. Okay. Let's get Face Off to Billion. Great song. That would be great. Face Off is actually one of my favorite tracks. Do you want to go down, baby? Say bye bye. Bye bye. Say bye bye, everybody. Bye. Bye. Bye bye. Say bye bye. Bye. Bye bye. Bye. Bye bye bye. Okay. Okay. All right. My legs are getting numb. He's really heavy. He's too big for me. Okay, he's very sleepy. I'll take him fetching after. He's actually lazy. Like it takes a lot for us to get him out of bed. But once he's out of bed, he's very, very energetic. And also, he gets grumpy if I don't take him out to play. Well, actually, no, but he's a good boy. Okay, so yes, I do. I can't wait to road to 4 billion. Um, I guess seven is the one that's closest, but I think other songs definitely has a chance to catch up as well if we just do well, if we organize our streaming. And then the other thing that we need to consider would be that they are going to. My guess is that they're going to drop a single before the end of the year. I don't know whether it's going to be a group single, a unit single. I have no idea. They're probably going to drop a single. My other hope is that if there is, I don't know when they're going to be releasing Are You Sure? Um, but there might be an OST for that as well. Who knows? I mean, the first time they did Are You Sure and they didn't do an OST, I thought it was like what the hell were you thinking? You should have done it. I mean, this is the two members that got to Billboard Hot 100 number one. And you didn't give them an OST for their show. I thought it was like crazy. But anyway, um, all right, so that's we will wait. I will wait. So tomorrow is when they usually announce. September the 2nd of the month is when they usually announce how many song. I mean, how many streams they're going to be stripping certain songs. So I'll keep watch. If you want me to watch other acts, let me know who you want me to, and I'll do that. So this is the best time to act for me to actually account because it's the beginning of the month. I know exactly how many streams they got for the month of August. Then by the end of September, we'll know. Okay. All right. So that's our road to 2 billion. So please make sure that you stream. But also don't forget to stream on other platforms. I've mentioned several times that for Apple Music, Amazon Music, they pay higher. So um, can you explain a bit more about what and why Spotify is deleting? So they want to make sure, they're saying, they want to make sure that the streams are unique or valid, not necessarily unique, but valid. So there's a lot of streaming farms. There are huge streaming farms, even in New York, actually. So they want to get rid of that. The people that are using streaming farms. There are a lot of streaming farms in Thailand, India, Bangladesh, countries like that. And so they want to make sure that the streams of those don't count. And then the other thing is that, and this is where BTS actually gets hit the most. Fans don't know how to stream, and so they're just repeating the song, putting the same song in a playlist over and over and over again, or they're limiting their playlist to just one artist. And those really, they then the bot will just tag you a bot. The bot will actually tag you a bot because it's for them it's very obvious that you are trying to manipulate the chart by not actually listening and just streaming one song or one artist. That's why it's very important for people to actually stream like a human being. I've always said 10 counted streams are way better than 100 deleted streams. So don't fret if you're only playing the song 3 times in an hour, for as long as those 3 times are actually counted. Make sure that there is enough variation in terms of genre, artist in your playlist. Make sure that you throw the algorithm off Don't establish a pattern. So if you put two to three consistently, 2 to 3 songs in between the song that you're streaming, you're gone. You're a bot. So they're not counting you anymore. You're a gunner. And so make sure that you're putting enough. Sometimes you would put 2 songs in between the songs that you're streaming, or and then make it 7, and then make it 5, and then 2 again, and then 7, 8, and 7, 8, and then 3. Like, don't have a pattern. That is the best way to do it. And also make sure that you turn it off. Sometimes don't play it for like 7 hours, or 3, or for a day. Leave it alone for a day and then stream again. You have to stream like a human being. So, okay. And then turn off your autoplay if you're using Spotify. Turn off your autoplay. Okay. Um, Next, so Billboard Hot 100 Twice is doing well. This is, I think, their best performing single, Strategy by Twice, which is also a new song, a song that was used in K-pop Demon Hunters. So they are at number 57. There's a good chance that they will make it to the top 50 next week. And these are the biggest songs by a K-pop act on the Spotify global chart each year. And so as you can see from, so it was DNA in this way. Okay, so 2017 it was BTS with DNA, and then 2018 it was Kiss and Makeup, Boy with Love 2019 BTS. I don't know who Kiss and Makeup is. And then Dynamite again 2020, Butter for 2021, Pink Venom for 2022, Seven for 2023, Who for 2024, and it looks like it's going to be Jump for 2025 unless we do something about it, or BTS releases a song. So let's see what's gonna happen. But so far, this is the number one song for 2020. The most streamed song for 2025 is Jump. Okay. I prefer Amazon Music to stream. Yeah, I prefer. I don't have a paid Spotify, and I just don't play it because it's gonna do an autoplay because I'm not subscribed. So I Apple Music and Amazon Music, and then I have a Napster. Okay, as an experiment, and then great achievement for Jimin. I wish that this is something. If you're going to tweet something about Jimin, it would be this. So he is the first and only album by a Korean soloist, not just K-pop, but a Korean soloist to spend 50 weeks on Spotify USA Top Album Chart. His song and his album, Muse and Who, are just performing so well in US charts. It has essentially not left Spotify USA since it was launched. So here, weekly top album, he's been there a total of 50 weeks. Right now, he is number 14. Another thing that you need to notice is that the source is not Geffen and it's not Universal, it's Big Hit Music. So it is not being promoted by Geffen or Universal Music. It is just Big Hit. Otherwise, or it's not co-released by Geffen or Universal Music. Otherwise, the source will say so. Okay, so that's just an interesting thing because other acts by Hybe, they're actually also released by Universal and Geffen. So number 107 top albums for the USA. He is 173rd for this week, a week of August 22 to 28th. Just very, very stable in the US. But another a K-pop act that entered weekly USA chart for Spotify is Karma. So they are at number 24, and this is their first week on the chart. So look at that. For them, the source is Republic Records. It's not even JYP. So it's being pushed by Republic Records in the US. But for Jimin, it's just Big Hit. And it's the same for like all the other soloists as well, by the way. Okay. Another thing. Oh, by the way, I forgot to go live on IG. Okay. There. I'm live on IG now. All right. So for daily top songs US. So this is for August 31 at the end of the month. Who is at number 62? Again, he's very, very stable in the US. We're not promoting it. I mean, Big Hit is not promoting it. Nothing is being done, but it's still in the US chart in Spotify. So he is at number, he has spent a total 395 days in the daily US chart in Spotify. And he is currently at number 62. Is that number 62? He's up to two spaces. Okay. So I'm doing all of this so that if there's anything that you wanna tweet this. Okay. Weekly top songs USA. He has been in the chart for 56 weeks, and his first entry position was number 9, but he's there. So weekly top songs, he's there. He's currently, for the week of August 22 to 28th, he is at number 57. Okay. All right. Next, so this is the weekly top songs. Okay, weekly top songs. He's number 57. Now, other acts that made it. Look at what K-pop Demon Hunters is doing. It has occupied first 5 positions in the chart. So this is USA Golden, Your Idol, Soda Pop, how it's done, and what it sounds like. Uh, and I think they're gonna retain their number 1 position in Billboard Hot 100, maybe number 1, number 2. The Billboard Hot 100 chart is delayed because it's Labor Day today in the U.S. So it's gonna they are going to release it tomorrow. But okay, so Golden, Your Idol, Soda Pop, how it's done. That's 1 to 5. Spotify weekly song chart. Okay, and then there are other songs as well from the same album. You have Takedown, and Free, 8 and 9. And then the Takedown version of Twice is number 30. It's been on the chart for 9 weeks. Okay. And then Apathy is at 112. So this is put it into context. Like all of these songs, especially Who, who's not even getting any kind of promotion, is at number 57 for this week. And it has been on the chart, for 56 weeks. So this is weekly top songs. And Apathy, which is still being pushed by Atlantic, is at number 112. So the song is very, very stable. People are still playing it. They're still streaming it. And if we just stream right, we can do better. And then Twice, their version of Strategy is at 175. It has been on the chart for 9 weeks. Gabriela from Cat's Eye has been on the chart for 10 weeks, and it's currently at number 48, up 2 spots. Kids are obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters. It's getting a huge push up as Apathy. The songs are catchy. What can I say? They're just they're super catchy. It's And then you attach it to a narrative. It's just and it's being pushed by Netflix. And then Karma also entered the chart. This is their first week inside the chart, number 77. So again, always put it into perspective. Who has been on the chart? The song was released over a year ago, and it's number 56. So it's doing better than new releases. Okay, so Karma, number 77. This is their first week, and Jump. This is their 7th week on the chart, and they're currently 91, down 14 spots. Okay. And then Cat's Eye, Gnarly, has been on the chart for 17 weeks, and it's currently at 104, up 17 spots. It first entered the chart at 68. I hope that they actually continue going up. And then just what the Tannies are up to. They attended an art event last night, and that is and that is Namjoon. Alright. So it was a great night for them. I think V even delivered the speech. They were like, "This is our 2 extroverted members, and they are having so much fun." It was nice. It's a public event, so it's okay to share the videos. That's the whole point of the event, because they want the entire thing to be known to the public. So if you see videos, it's okay to share. It's a public event. So that is V. Again, being a social butterfly. So they are really catchy. I had I held on to watching it for weeks. The movie itself is pretty average, but the songs are fire. Correct. I did a like a slight review on K-pop Demon Hunters, and that's the first thing that I said. Like it's fun in the same way. Like if I watch a comedy movie, like they're fun, but I won't necessarily get attached to the characters, right? Because they're just meant to make me laugh. It's not a character that I would want to get to know better, and that's how I felt with K-pop Demon Hunters. But the songs are catchy, and the story is good. Like it's entertaining. So that's why I'm hoping that in the part two, they're going to explore the characters better, and maybe we can do a series so that we can really get to know the characters better. Because I am interested in them. I feel like the characters have enough. It's just that it's not explored very well. Okay, going back to Artani. So V actually delivered the speech. He was asked on stage twice actually. So first was Eric Nam was doing a spiel or whatever, and he came on stage. He hugged Eric Nam. They talked about when they're gonna be leaving or whatever, and Tay said that as soon as I get like tipsy, I'm gonna leave. So they had fun. There's a lot of photos on Facebook, IG, and X. So just go ahead and search. You'll see a lot of that. And you can spread it because, as I've said, it's a public event. And this is our J Hope with a new campaign for AP. So there you go. Just wanted to give you your fill for the day of their photos. He looks so good. There's more photos of him, by the way, for this campaign. They and June love to go to art shows together. They do. It's but I heard that one of the misconceptions that we have is that it's just RM and Ted that are interested in art. Apparently, Jimin, and Jungkook are art collectors as well. They just don't talk about it all that much. So I hope they do, but they are art collectors as well. I think Jimin's art collection is mostly in Busan. I don't think he has a lot in his house as we barely see his house, but it seems like um, he's very expensive, right? We cannot afford him. Now, Stray Kids actually established a record. They are the first act to reach number one on Billboard 200, not Billboard Hot 100, for seventh consecutive time. So they're not the first K-pop act, first Asian act. They're just the first act in history to launch to stick a landing on top of Billboard 200 for seventh consecutive time. So give them their flowers. It's That's not easy to do. Congratulations to them. The prediction is that the single is most likely going to be in 60s in Billboard Hot 100. They still have a chance at improving that, but still good. Okay, and data actually, just to put, I guess, things in perspective, biggest album debuts by K-pop acts in U.S. history. It remains to be Map of the Soul, 7 with 422,000 units sold. I hope that we can cross this to 1 million in their comeback. And then Proof was 314,000, and then Karma 313,000. This is for the first week. So the numbers still remain unbeaten, but I hope that we can, as I've said, cross this to 1 million in their comeback. It would be great, right? Okay. Yes, congratulations to Stray Kids. Let's give them their flowers. They work hard. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. If it is an easy thing to do, then others would have done it already, right? Okay. Um, and then aespa started their tour. I believe this is their fourth tour or third tour. So this is the start of the beginning of their world tour. I'm just realizing that one of the consequences of, because I was looking at the list of tours 2023, 2024, and 2025, and it's the same acts that are going on tour. I mean, good for them, right? Good for them. But I'm just wondering, like, in this, because the goal is to have them tour because that's where the money is. I'm just wondering, are you actually giving enough time to grow the substance of your art, right? If that is your concentration, are you actually giving enough effort to grow the narrative, to allow your artists to rest and also think about their creative direction, conceptualize their own music and stuff like that? Um, I'm just wondering because they're like, oh my God, you're on tour again. So just wondering. I'm not saying that definitively. I'm asking. So that's probably one of the things that I would be looking at. Okay. And then okay. So third world tour for aespa. So they sold out. I heard the first night of this is their kickoff for their world tour. So they sold out the first night. So congratulations to them. And they performed their next album. They have an album dropping, so they performed it live. And then these are K-pop soloists. Any K-pop soloist, any Korean act. Actually, it's a Korean act with over 100 million streams on Spotify. And we have, I'm sorry, okay, here. So we have BTS 128 songs already crossed 100 million. So all credits, okay, all credits. And then Blackpink is 33 songs with 100 million streams. Twice with 26 songs with 100 million streams. Stray Kids 20 songs with 100 million streams. Jungkook at 18. 100 million. TXT and Jimin are tied with 17 songs. New Jeans 16. 17 with 15. aespa, Le Seraphim, and J-Hope with 14. Suga with 13. Suga and Idol. V and Enhypen with 12 songs. EXO with 11 songs. Jennie with 10. IU and NCT Dream with 9. ITZY, Lisa, and RM with 8. You know, RM has a lot of songs. uh, we can push this. So if we can just add his songs to our playlist, okay. There is, as I've said, if you don't hesitate in using the solo songs of other BTS members in between the song that you are streaming. I know that all of you guys have your own biases. That's fine, but you can always use the songs of other members, their solo songs, BTS songs, as a filler. So, okay, Red Velvet, Big Bang, Jin, and 80s with 7 songs with 100 million. IVE with 6. Rose, John Somi, Baby Monster with 5. And then Big Bang, Everglow, Psy, IZ1. I think that's how they pronounce it. Kiss of Life, I'll It, NCT 127 with 4. Okay. And then Mamamoo, Punch, NCT, Taeyeon, Stacy, and Mix, J Park, Yeehee, Jisoo, DPR Ian, G Dragon, and Baekhyun with 3. And then Icon, Sean, Jesse, 50/50, Chanyeol, Momoland, J Park, Loco, Kai, Treasure, Wasa, I don't know who Bola is, Zico, Bibi, Chunga, Crush, The Rose, G Friend, Nayeon, Day6, Akmu, Dong Kyung So, and Chen with 2 songs. Okay. Someone is asking, do you know, Bob is asking, do you know if armies are still contributing to Young's hospital wing? So, yes, so they have, but you have to not join, but at least converse with Yoongi bias fan base. So if you are in touch with any of the Yoongi bias fan base, there's a lot of them that are good. As I've said, my minimum is that if you just don't talk shit over other members, we're good. So if you can get in touch with any of their fan bases, they are the ones that are actually actively continuing a lot of the fundraisings and a lot of the charity works that they started inspired by Shogun, and that's one of them. So the answer is yes, you just need to get in touch with their fan bases. Okay. Just, do a little scrolling. I usually do like 3 months. If you haven't said anything bad about the other members, you're good with me. Okay, so that's 100 million. And there's more, but they have one each. Okay. Now, Hive is going through a lot of changes. Hive America. I saw something that says like Hive America changed all of their executives. That is not exactly true. What we know is that they're bringing in new people. So Hive America, they appointed Jenny Pfaff, and she's the new chief of people and transformation officer. Uh, I kind of don't like the sound of that, but let's see what she's actually going to be doing. The Yeah, I don't anyway. So let's see what she's gonna do. It's not clear what she's gonna be doing. It's a new position. She's not replacing anybody else. So it's not true that they're replacing all of their executives. It's just that they're bringing in a lot. Second is that do remember for Hyde, it's very normal for them to do a 4-year rotation. So most executives, especially those that are in C level, chief level, they sign a 5-year contract. So that's usually their first term. But Hyde would replace them on the fourth year. So usually it's a 4-year rotation. So it's very normal. I don't think people should be panicking. And also the other thing is that there are a lot, they are experiencing some success in the things that they have started. For example, at Cat's Eye, um, they are actually doing well, way better than everyone actually expected. So, okay, question here. Isn't that just HR? Probably, I have no idea. Could be. Why do you have reservations? That I think when you're starting a company, it's very important to concentrate on your core first, right? And the music industry in the US isn't exactly at its finest condition right now. Even the big ones are scrambling to make some changes because they are struggling. And in the last live stream or two live streams ago, I already explained that although the numbers show that the total value of the music industry actually grew, if you compute inflation, if you do it after inflation, if you figure in inflation, it's actually way down. It's actually losing, and that is reflected in the amount of people they are laying off. If you're reading the news with many labels around, they're laying off a lot of people, and I think that's because they move away from their core too much instead of concentrating in growing their art. They are implementing rules and regulations that don't necessarily will make the art better. So I would rather hear about, although again, like I don't know everything that's happening in Hype America, so maybe this is just one of the many hires, right? So, but I would rather hear about like what are you going to do to ensure that your artists are will have the resources and the facilities in order to grow their art, in order to mature, to be supported instead of chief people and transformation officer. It could just be HR. But yeah, let's see. It's a, Cat's Eye is doing really well. So let's see. Okay. Um, Maybe they are biting off more than they can chew. Maybe. I know that the CEO in Hybe America is also the CEO in Latin America, which I also have reservations. But what do I know? I am not the one who's running a multi-million-dollar company, right? I have never run a company in of that size. So what do I know? But it just felt like only because like it's already too much to be a CEO of Hive America and to be a CEO of Latin America. That's like, those are a lot. And so for you to manage to, but maybe they have a plan that we don't know, right? So let's see. Okay. Um, Remember Hive SK got out of media and AI. I think it's more about it's correct, yes, but I think it's more about because the market is not ready. I definitely think that there's still a space for in the future. So AI is integrated in everything that we do. So that we're using AI regardless. So and we've been using it for decades now. So I think it's just that this new form of AI is what people are very worried about. I did a video on that. Um, But AI will always be, it has always been there and will always be there. It's just going to grow. I think it's just that the market is not, the majority of the market is not ready for the type of AI that they're offering, but it's gonna get there. So okay, next Iyon is going to Ian is going to release his first album in 12 years, I think. So please support. It's the title is N. So Ian is the older brother of BTS. He is their label mate in Big Hit. So it's going to be his first album in 12 years, I think, and first single. He has been releasing singles only and sometimes like OSTs and stuff like that. So this is going to be his first album. So okay, and then Jonghyun, Jio, and Chaeyoung actually has now sold. This is their first 500 units, the first song that sold 500 units in the U.S. So congratulations to the three members um, of Twice. So this is because of Takedown, which is the song that was also used in K-pop Demon Hunters. All right, so that's their, in just to put it in context, these are the people outside of the three Twice members. These are other female K-pop acts who actually managed to sell over 500 million in the US. Blackpink, Jennie, Lisa, 50/50, Rose, and Nayeon. So if you would notice, it's still a small list, right? A limited list. So this achievement of them actually selling over 500 units in the US is still a big thing. That's not even 10. So you have Blackpink, Jennie, Lisa, 50/50, Rose, and Nayeon. That's six. If you add the three members, that's nine. So it's still a huge thing that after all of these years, it's way more common for boy groups to actually do it, but for girl groups, it's still super, super limited. Okay, I don't know if you're watching it, but Global K-pop Variety Show K-pop is actually on in Apple TV. I haven't watched it, but I will. Um, Luckily, when I subscribe to Apple, I never really use my Apple TV Plus. 3 months free. I'm going to do it now. But let me know if you have any plans on actually watching it. So it's K-pop. I heard it's really, really good. It's fourth on Apple TV. Okay. Um, and then Le Seraphim was actually invited for in the U.S. Open for the first time. They invited a K-pop act. They're the very first one that the first K-pop act that was invited by U.S. Open, and they were all very very excited. And this was just fun. Japan trials a new drug that regrows human teeth, ending dentures and implants forever. How's that? So I'm actually, this is good. I'm actually about to get my mom implants, but if this is still on trial, so I guess it's not going to be really available for the next, I don't know, 10 years. But if this actually works, this is going to change dentistry forever. You watched it? K-pop, is it good? Okay, I'll be watching. I've watched about four clips. Eve, Spice Girls, TLC, and the 80s one. Are they good? Are they good? Are they good? I'm so intrigued. I want to watch. Okay, do you have questions? The hold that KDH has on me, it's so catchy. Zero Skips album. It's very catchy. I can't blame you. It's a catchy album. Um, I don't think it's bad as B's gone. They need to make adjustments due to the changes they're making. I've talked about that before. They usually replace their CEO for it. So it wasn't anything extra. It wasn't like an extraordinary thing that he left on the fourth year. It was expected. That's what they do. So he's still there. He's still one of the biggest shareholders of Hype. It's just that he's not a non-spending officer. He's a non-spending board member of uh, of of Hive America. Okay, so cute. The fact that ITZY and Spice Girls' most famous songs are both called "Wannabe" is pretty funny. New teeth, interesting. Okay, it's the birthday of our Jungkook, of our maknae. This is just light, nothing new, nothing. Uh, it's not going to require your brain to think so much. I just want to look back at how he has grown because he's 28, so he's 28, so he's 2 years away from being 30. Oh my gosh! And I started watching him when he was like what, 14, 15. So wow, he's grown up so much. So this is the actually the last time that we saw the arm without the tattoos. I don't know if you know the story of this, but it was his birthday. Was when they went on vacation. The very first time they actually went on an extended vacation. And so it was the first time when since they started as a group training together, when Jungkook actually didn't celebrate it with the entire group. And so I think Jimin was in Paris at that time. He flew back to South Korea just to greet him a happy birthday and spend the day with him. So him and J-Hope actually went to meet Jungkook. So, because I remember after this, um, Jungkook actually sort of said like, "Oh, nobody went to see me except Jimin and J-Hope," but he was happy that day, and that is the last time that we've actually seen the arm very, very clear. And then that's him on the one of the fan meetings that they had after a show, after their recording in one of their music show guestings. So he was 15 at that time. He was so young. This is your emotional pick. Emotional support pick. Jungkook and all the way through. So this was one of their early photo cards. So this was during the No More Dream era. So very, very young. He was 15. Definitely on their debut year. And this is him again. So cute, right? I remember his doe eyes when he first started, right? I mean, um, Jimin faked him out. Yes. So he said, I think he first sent like a message or a text to Jungkook saying, "Oh, I can't be with you because I'm still in Paris." And Jimin actually posted a photo on his IG or something that is in Paris, and then surprised Jungkook. Don't you just love that kind of friendship? Okay, so that's him, still on his debut era, and then this was him during their trainee days. So this was pre-debut, and allegedly this people, some of these people were actually training. Some of these kids were actually training with them, and that is Jimin. So that's RM hugging the kids, and then that's Jungkook hugging Jimin. My gosh, pre-debut. I mean, Jimin and Jungkook seem to be at the same height at that time. Um, and then okay, and then that's this is debut era. I think this is 2014, and this is Jin and Jungkook. If you would just watch their old videos, you would actually notice that Jungkook and Jin would just stick together like glue. They're always together. They're always like Jin would always be like getting him beside him, getting Jungkook to stay beside him and stuff. So um, looks like they at the back. Could be. Let's see. Not seeing it. Could be 10. Yeah, that could be the back. It was covered because in my view there's a bar that covers the topmost portion, so I can see clearly. Okay, and then do you remember the scene? Do you remember who this is? So definitely one of them is Jungkook, but can you identify the other person when he was shorter than Suga? Yeah, it was Suga. So this was someone was singing. I think Jin was singing, or RM, and then Suga and Jungkook were dancing at the back. So this was when Suga was still a little. I think he was still a little taller than Jungkook here. So um, I thought they weren't showing me. This was this picture So Sada's Lucy in the Sky said, I thought they were showing me. So this picture was not published until after they debuted. So Tia was already revealed. You thought it was J Hope? No, that's Suga dancing. There's a video of this. So someone was singing in front, and then the two were dancing at the back. So yeah, that's not J Hope. That's Suga. That's just, and then that's again. This is their No More Dream era, and that's him with a really heavy eyeliner. All of them had heavy eyeliner in the beginning. So that's so cute. Our Maknae is so cute. He's so grown up now, of course, but still cute. Okay, another photo of him. I think this was taken by Jin, and I remember seeing a video of this and how it was taken. So that's him. Okay. Okay, so we're just going down memory. Something light because everything has been so heavy in the last week. So let's go through something light. This was taken by RM, I think. It's either RM and Jin. But look at those blue eyes. So that's some second gen eyeliner right there. I know. They are so different. I was looking at how they debuted versus how TXT debuted versus how Portis debuted. Oh my gosh, so different, don't you think? Oh my god, I feel my age. Jungkook grew up. He grew up very, very well. I am so proud of him. Okay, so that's his doe eyes. Do you remember this picture? This is one of the most publicized because he's so cute. They were. This was still in the No More Dream era, I think, and they there were in the when they were starting out, they didn't even have a room, so they weren't given green rooms or dressing rooms at the backstage. So um, this was some sort of a hallway. It wasn't really a room, and everyone was crammed in there. So all of their stylists, it was they were in there. So there was just like a corner in a hallway or something. So it's not really a room because they weren't given one. So that's how they all started. So that's them pulling faces in the back. Jungkook grew up so well. Cheap chains. So this is the first generation character that they had. I don't know if you've seen this before, but this was before BT21, before Tiny Tan, before Seven Chacos. This was their cartoon character. This was the one that they created, and they actually distributed. They sold this for I think for over a year. This is what they were using, and they created like very cheap animations using this one, and fans also contributed in creating animations using that one. And then so the seven had their own version, and I think it was Armies who created a version for Bang TV. Okay, so that's the first. This is the ancestor of Cookie and Tiny Tan. You have one? Oh my god, you have one? Um, how many do I have? I think I have three of this. I think I have three of this. I just have to dig it up. So you totally forgot about that. How can you forget about it? That's the ancestor of Cookie. And speaking of Cookie, this is his very first version. So it was actually when I was rewatching their BT21 creation, it was actually amazing that um, his almost never changed. So so it was him. Well, I guess RM, his, and Jimin didn't change much. So from the very first drawing that they created, the very first sketch, like the very first they put their pen against the paper, at least that was shown. Theirs didn't change much. So this is the first version of Cookie. Okay, and then this part, this was proposed by Jimin. He said, "Oh, so is this Cookie when he's angry, when he's mad?" And so and Jungkook agreed. He said, "Yeah, when Cookie is mad, he's unstoppable. So this is his version when he's very very mad." Um, This is fun going down memory. And yeah, some things, because everything has been so heavy, right? So I thought like, why do a lot of thinking today? We've gone through so much, Samantha. Let's just have fun and celebrate his birthday. So this is Cookie when he's very angry. And supposedly, when I was reviewing their video, he actually mentioned that when Cookie is angry, when he's mad, both ears are up. So both ears are up. So supposedly it's gonna go up, and then the abs actually start showing. Okay. And then this is funny because again I was reviewing their BT21 creation, and he said that the hobby of Jungkook is to eat Shuki. Let's say eating this guy. So they were conversing. I think I uploaded the maybe this. Oh, that's not it. Okay. I didn't upload it. Well, anyway, so they were they were doing a brainstorming, and his very first sketch, if you see that part that says cookie and he was holding something, he actually said that he wanted Cookie to be constantly holding a chocolate cookie. So he said that he wants to constantly hold it. Okay. And so they continued, and the people, the artists and the creative team of Line refined their creation to make it cohesive and to make it whole. So even the concept of them, the seven of them being friends, it actually came from BTS. They were the ones who said they wanted the seven characters to be friends. And so they made Shuki the constant companion of Cookie. So they're always together. Even in the brainstorming, Suga and Jungkook actually had to do it together because they're constantly together. And so the idea of Shuki being very, very small um, actually came from Jungkook. Suga sort of had another character who looked more like human, but they took the face, put it on Shuki, and made the two constant companion. And so when they were doing a brainstorming, and Suga asked him what is the hobby of Cookie, he said he would eat Shuki when he's bored. He would take a bite of Shuki when he's bored because that's what he wanted in the beginning. He wanted to be constantly holding a chocolate cookie. So that's actually how this this actually formed. So it was fun looking back at it because you kind of remember the things that you forgot. So was that one set in the past? Yes. So they that's the original storyline that they had. So they were inseparable, but they would constantly fight, but they are inseparable. That's their storyline. Okay. Very fun if you want to go back and watch it again. It's just that the ads are annoying now. The other thing is that so everyone knows that he actually joined Big Hit because of RM, but the story is actually a little more nuanced than that. Because in the book, Beyond the Story, they mentioned that even before Jungkook watched RM rap, his father was actually the one who introduced the idea of joining Big Hit. So when he thought of like auditioning, his father suggested Big Hit because he knew of Bang Shiyuk. So you if you would remember, Bang Shiyuk's nickname in South Korea was Hitman Bang because he was known for writing hits, hit after hits after hit. And so Jungkook's father suggested to him, why don't you join Big Hit? Because the head is Bang Shiyuk. So when he auditioned, so remember that audition day where he was given seven cards, he kind of already wanted to be in Big Hit even before watching RM, simply because his father suggested it. So according to the story in the book, he was pursued after leaving the audition place where they were holding the audition. So others gave him the card, right? And then two other companies actually chased them to the train station on their way home. And the father rejected and said that they might sign under Bang And so when the agent of Big Hit learned about that, he approached them and said, "I'm from Big Hit and whatever." So he gave them the card. Jungkook went home, checked out Big Hit, and that's when he actually learned of RM. So he found that it's impressive or whatever, and so JK decided, okay, I'm gonna go with Big Hit. So it's kind of more nuanced because the first idea was introduced by the father, and then he decided to check it out and saw RM. So it was like a fusion of the father's influence, Bang Shi-yuk's reputation, and then RM. Okay. Um, Aside from Shuki is hilarious and he has some eyebrows as Cookie. Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. So that's the one that's a an often one of the most discussed phase, because obviously BTS won't be BTS without Jungkook. So, but just to clarify that the first idea came from the father because he learned of Hitman Bang. Hitman Bang used to have his own logo on some of the songs he produced. So yeah, there was this. He had like a there's a singer. She's a balladeer, and she would always ask Bang Shi to write a song for him because he knows how to write a hit. And then when Bang Shi put together BTS, she spoke to this singer. I just keep on forgetting her name. It'll come to me. And he actually told her, Bang Shi told her, "Oh, I can't write for you anymore because I'm gonna have to shift my focus to BTS." Wow, I knew about RM, but not what led Jungkook to watch his video. Go dad, yeah, it was credits to the dad, and of course to Bang Shi because his dad you know, introduced the idea because he learned of Bang Shi. And you know that he has covered more than 13 songs, some of which he actually covered with his bandmates. One of my favorite was actually his and um, RM's cover of Fools. That's one of my favorites ever. And I that was when I became very, very convinced that RM can sing. Because it was such a good cover. If you haven't listened to it, the title is Fools. So go to YouTube, you'll hear the cover. It's still uploaded. But one of his very first, if not his very first cover, was Lost Stars. It was uploaded on SoundCloud. In the early days of BTS, they actually had their official SoundCloud account, and that's where they would upload their covers. So this was uploaded October 3, 2015. If you want to go to SoundCloud, it's still up. It's still there. The BTS channel is still there. At least last time I checked, it's still there. So and it was yeah. So it's a cover. I think this is his very first. So listen to it. It's I would consider this if I am like if my arm is twisted and I was asked like watch which one of his covers I would continuously listen to over and over again. It would be Lost Stars or Fools because it's such a great cover. Okay, you love Fools as well, right? And before Bam, there is Gurung. So that is the pet, the dog of Jungkook's family. He actually drew Gurung, and that's how he looked like. He kind of looked like of Debak, right? But he loved Gurung so much. He would constantly mention them, especially in their early days. Like whenever he's asked about his family member, Gurung would be the fifth member. So he would like, oh, my mom, my dad, my brother, me, and Gurung. He would always be the youngest in the family. So that was he's the ancestor of Bam in the John family. Okay, he's so cute, right? I don't know if it's just me being biased, but I think he kind of looked like Deba. But also look at the accuracy of his drawing. My God. So okay. So he mentioned Gurum a lot in the beginning. You love Lost Stars. I wish all his covers are available in another platform. I don't know if they're in Spotify, but they are in YouTube Music. So okay, so when he went to training, you all know this. He was 14, about 14 going 15, just before debut. So the story was Song Sunduk and Bang Shiyuk talked, and they said that like Jungkook is a great dancer. Like he has the makings of a great dancer, but what they didn't see was passion. Like when he dances because that's the routine that was taught him. But just like singing, if you sing without the emotions, it won't be great. Like, so that was one of the reasons they decided to send Jungkook in the US, for him to develop actual love for dancing and not just the routine of it. They wanted him to appreciate and love the craft of dancing. So they went into movement lifestyle. Allegedly, in the early days when Spice Girls were younger, there were four members in the beginning, and they were very young when they started. They weren't put together by the agency. It was the father of Beyonce that put them together. So early on, when they were really really young, allegedly this is where they train. I don't know if that's true, but allegedly this is where they train. One of the places that where they trained in this dance studio. So this is him. He did a vlog. He did two entries to document his entire vlog, his entire experience. So he said that it was the first time he actually went on a plane, definitely the first time that he went out of the country, and he was with Son Sundok. So he was all on his own. He showed himself doing the laundry. He went to the laundromat, um, and then yeah. So he was like, this was his very first independent experience as a kid, and he was like, it's lovely. So if you haven't actually seen his entry, uh, go to BTS blog, Big Hit blog. It's still there, but it's in the early days of their blog. So you're gonna have to scroll through like 2012, I guess. So for you to actually see this, we have so little footage of JK in the strip. No, he documented it. He documented a lot of it. So go to the blog, that his blog entry. That's where he put a lot of the pictures. Um, so that's where he started his love for laundry. No, he said he was irritated by it. So in his entry, he said he was irritated by it because I guess he didn't bring a lot of clothes, and he said that because he would practice like 12 hours a day, because outside of his training, so after he does his classes in this studio, him and Song Sundok would actually do some train practice together, and so he would sweat a lot. So he said that every day he would use like three shirts, four shirts, and I guess he didn't bring a lot. So every 3 days he would have to go to the laundromat to actually do his laundry, and he said it was irritating. So I guess his love for laundry has developed like after that, maybe. Okay. Okay, so and then another thing, this is a trivia for many new armies, but old armies, you already know this. But Jungkook often says that he isn't fond of studying, but he's actually not just street smart. He's also very academically smart, and he has displayed this several times in many of their videos, especially in their variety shows. So he graduated with distinction with high marks in physics and chemistry. And again, he actually demonstrated this a lot. So this is the video that I was gonna play with for you all.
조금이라도 많았으면 바퀴벌레
I don't know if
어마어마하게
you can hear it.
곤충들은
Can you hear it?
호흡하고
Bye, Evie. So this is him talking about like how the oxygen of a place actually determines the size of an insect. And then this is him figuring out how the air is actually the one that's making the water even hotter. So he has a lot of this. If you watch many of their variety shows, he would like pop in and out talking about physics and chemistry. He's very good at that. I don't know if you would remember that episode in Run BTS where they put together their own cars, toy cars. And he said like he used physics to actually make his more stabilized. So um okay, so he's very academically smart as well. I know that he often says like he doesn't wanna. That's it. Like I made mine. Oh, this is about the T-shirt. So he said I made mine with neuron law. So he designed the shirt with neuron law. He's very academically smart. Don't be fooled by it. And this is him thinking about how he can actually make the meat better using science. So okay. Um, and then you know his two nicknames, Seagull and Ian. And I'm gonna assume that you actually know where those two came from. So Seagull, it was supposed to be the name that he was going to use to debut, but he opted for Jungkook. And then Ian is because Ian was his favorite choreographer in the US. So he used it even in his TikTok. So he was going to, and then he used it as the antagonist for Cookie in BT21. Loved your letter to Jungkook and RM Fearlane. Thank you. Well, actually, after I wrote that, I was like, oh my god, now I'm gonna have to wrote for each to write a letter for each member. Otherwise, I'm gonna be accused of being a solo. And I am sure you can hear this picture. You can hear this picture, right? You know exactly what happened, what went down during this picture. The legendary picture and the moment that no one will forget in Bora history. So Ian from the dancer, yeah. Ian is actually is that I don't know. So if you've ever seen or watched um, America's Best Dance Crew, Ian was very young when he joined that contest, and then he started choreographing, and I kind of he's a hit and miss for me. Like um, he would actually come up with great choreographies, and then sometimes it would just be a total mess. So, but anyway, focus on yes, you can focus on. So it's great that he actually cleared it up. I thought he was going to play with us and just not say what it is that we were supposed to focus on, but he decided to actually finish his sentence. So this was actually one of the funniest moments in TV history, in Bora history. Okay. Um, and I think this is my last two. So this was him looking at armies. They were on their way to a music show. They were going to do a recording, and he was looking through the window, um, trying to get a glimpse of the armies waiting for BTS downstairs. And then, so the fans uploaded this. The fans uploaded this picture, and then the staff members uploaded this, the other side of the of the picture. So that's him with his very colorful backpack. And then after that, he actually bowed to everybody. So to the fans, to armies waiting for them. And that is the conclusion of my. But it only goes to show just how he's always been very devoted. Just like what I said in the letter that I wrote for him for his birthday. That it's so odd that because usually superstars would retract, they would retreat once they become so popular, right? Because they want to, and it's not just because they are snobs or whatever. They kind of want to maintain a sense of like stability. So, and when you're constantly surrounded by with admiration and fans yelling for your name, it can kind of put you out of loop. And so, a lot of people, by choice, just to make themselves, more stable, they pull away. But for Jungkook, the more popular he became, the more he approaches armies. But I guess he's doing it in a different way because the more he approaches armies, the more spontaneous he becomes, right? The more he takes off his mask, it becomes more real. So it's just a different approach for him. So and I'm of course happy for that. Remember when he said "Mom, we're on TV"? He's so cute. He loves his mom so much. Okay, all right. Let's go to Shohei Otani. So a lot of you asked about him after I mentioned him. It's just an interesting story. of betrayal, but also an interesting story on how he actually manages his business. So Shohei is Japanese, and he is, as I've said, in the conversation of becoming a goat in baseball. Right now, that title is reserved for Babe Ruth. But okay, so thank you for the photos. I enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoyed it. As I've said, I just wanted this time to be very, very light because everything is just so heavy. So let's do something lighter this time. Okay, so Shohei is so Otani is Shohei Otani is a baseball player, MLB. He's from Japan, and he is in the conversation of becoming a goat. Um, Now, one of the things he set a record of having the biggest payout in the history of sport. He has a 700 million contract with LA Dodgers for 10 years. He surpassed Messi, who signed 674 million. He surpassed LeBron. So he surpassed so many people. So, Mike Trout. So his is 700 million for 10 years. Okay. This was like he shook the whole world with this. Although the payment structure is a little different. He is supposed to get 2 million per year. Okay. Between 2024 to 2033. So the entire 10 years, he's just getting 2 million a year. Very small, right? And that would total 20 million. And then 680 million, they're going to be paying him 2034 all the way until 2043. So a lot of financial advisors will tell you not to do it this way because he 680 million seems a lot using the value of today, right? But 10 years from now, your 680 million is not, you know that if you figure in inflation. However, I think because he included other things in the contract, one of which is that he cannot be traded. This is very common in sports. You get traded, especially if you're not in your prime anymore. Your team will try to trade you into another team. His contract states you cannot trade me. So I'm gonna finish my career in Dodgers. And then of course luxury road accommodations whenever they go to different hotel in different cities. His accommodation has to be luxury. That's a small thing. Premium suite at home games as well. And then he gets to actually dictate when he wants to top out of the contract. So the team cannot trade him, but he can tap out of the contract. Specifically, he said that if the owner, Mark Walter, or the president, Andrew Friedman, leaves, then he reserves the right to tap out of the contract. Yes, we're going to be talking about copying BTS, but we're also going to be talking about Otani. Okay, so he's guaranteed a long term pay, but he's getting more than what he actually needs from his endorsement. So I think it's a sound financial decision because whatever he's only getting 2 million from Dodgers, but he's also getting millions and millions from his advertisements alone. He's most likely gonna keep on getting advertisements as long as he in his prime. Okay, so New Balance is actually the new brand endorser, and then he's the new brand endorser of Porsche. He's the face of Porsche. Imagine that. Okay, NJ wanted that type of a contract. And then Oi Ocha, I think this is a tea drink. And then the Corte, I think is how they pronounced it. This is a perfume, luxury brand, but it's from Japan. Rapsodo, which is an app for baseball and for different sports. And then Hugo Boss. So he has a lot of endorsements. This is like you're fine. Getting all of this money now is fine. He'll survive. He has a lot of brand endorsements. So in total for 2024, this is just for 2024, he's already earned 65 million. The second biggest is Bryce Harper with 7 million, and then Aaron Judge with 6 million. So I mean 65 million. What are you gonna do with 65 million in a year? You're more than fine. So I think his structure is kind of wise in that he thought about it long term, but also he gave the team enough wiggle space so that they can pay other big superstars as well. So okay, so now one thing that is unique about Otani is that he's not just a batter, he's actually a pitcher as well. What did was pitch. The what he did for the Dodgers was pitch. So, and then, but Otani does that, and he's also a batter. The only other player in MLB who actually did it that way that was good was Babe Ruth. So he had 7 MLB, but this was a really long time where you virtually can't compare them. So he's also the first one to do 50-50, meaning 50 stolen bases, which is harder, and 50 home runs in one season. He did it last year, and he won, and they won the MLB last year as well. And some are already calling his goal. Okay, so now this is the more interesting part. Um, well, okay, so one more. His ball. So the ball that he used, that he pitched, that he hit for his 50-50, sold for 4.392 million. Imagine that. Someone caught it and he sold it for 4.392 million. All right. So this is his translator because he is um he's a he's a he, he's Japanese, and when he came here he wasn't so fluent. He's good now, although he still uses a translator. But his name is Ipe, and he has been his translator, confidant, and also some sort of like a personal assistant. They were so close, he goes with him everywhere, to the point where Ipe actually resigned from the Dodgers when they were doing um, rig negotiation, because he was not allowed to talk uh, with with Shohei while they were doing negotiation. And so what he decided to do was resign so that he can continue communicating and being the personal assistant of Shohei. However, he stole 107, not 100, he stole $17 million from Shohei. So apparently what he did was, because Shohei trusted him so much, um, he changed the permission of his bank account to allow himself, so that the notification comes to his phone and not to Shohei. And he was in deep in debt because of gambling, and he stole 17 million from his bank account. And then he Shohei only found out. So what happened was, the booker, who was an illegal booker by the way, he was watching the game and Shohei was batting, and the account of Shohei was placing a bet. And that's when he realized, oh shit, it's not Shohei. It's someone else that's betting for him. That's actually how he got a clue out of it. Now, this is the illegal booker. And in total, Ipe, the assistant, lost 42 million, 17 million of which he stole from Shohei. So that happened last year. So, just something interesting I wanted to share. For a used baseball, yeah, well, yeah, a new baseball won't be it won't cost much. It is 4.9 million because it's the ball that they used to that he batted, that he hit for the 50-50. Otani had a slow night when he did his first pitch, but Dodgers still won. Still an amazing player too, and I hope to see him live again. I will definitely. So I'm gonna take my mom to watch him because my mom hasn't watched. I watched him once, but my mom hasn't. So I will definitely watch him again. So if you can, it's so rare for our generation to have like a goat. So just something interesting, and also lesson for all of us, I guess, to be careful in who we trust. Okay, so he must have felt so betrayed. Yes, I mean that's 17 million. But for him, he was, and then he won the case though, and then Ipe was actually asked to pay him back the 17 million. But I mean, come on, what are you gonna? where is he gonna? Where is he gonna take the money? Where is he gonna get the money for to pay him 17 million? Right? He's a translator, so. Okay, and then the booker actually also was raided by the FBI. So for a year, he can't gamble. But okay, what a piece of work he is. Yeah. Why am I talking about baseball? No, it is in the list of topics that I usually post before. So when I post the link for the live stream, I actually put the topics, and Shohei was actually one of them. Sometimes I would do topics out that is not connected to BTS. Okay, all right. Isn't the drawing of Jin's dog Jangkook? Isn't the drawing that was Gurun? Okay, let's talk about BTS copying. All right, we have time. I manage my time well. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking, like, is there really anybody that's copying the strategy of BTS outside of Hive, outside of the groups under Hive? Because I think that's a given. Like, many of the groups of Hive, they actually have their own lore, their own universe. They would form all of those things, and then most of their music videos, they have their own story and stuff like that. But is there anybody who's actually doing this outside of Hive? So just want to make it clear that BTS is not the first group that actually did that, where their music videos actually have a story of their own. But they are the first one that did this in this expanse, in this, like, it's not just one album, it's several albums, and then it builds up to an almost like it's traces the span of their entire career, from the most beautiful moment in life all the way until Map of the Soul. Okay, so they were the ones that did it in that degree. Okay, they are the first one. So the question is, and I call it open narrative because it's not just simply a incomplete story within the music video, because many of the other artists that have done it before them, like for example Michael Jackson's Thriller, and you can argue that's the first one that like has a full narrative, or maybe even the Beatles, that's complete on its own. Thriller is complete on its own, that's one entire story. So but for BTS, they would create a music video, it's incomplete, and so fans are left to guess or pick up clues to be able to form the full narrative. Okay, um so I call it the open narrative thing. And yes, there have been other artists, specifically in Asia, who have started doing that. Jeff Satur actually started doing that. Um, he's from Japan. He's a soloist from Japan. Although no one has done it, as I've said, in the degree that BTS has done it. But Jeff Satur is doing it. Any releases that he does, they have their own storyline. Okay. Next, SB19 from the Philippines is one. I've actually started doing that in their, not this music video but the previous one, Heya, in Heya. They started actually doing their own lore, and then following that, and then they continued the story in the next single. I just can't remember the name. So that's another K-pop group who's actually done that. And then the closest to ever do it in the degree that BTS has done it is SB19 from the Philippines. Because their lore, the story actually goes on several music. So, and they also divided. So they've released 3 albums so far, and they divided the lore into three, the story into three, to 3 different sections. So they're the closest. And they are the biggest. They're a super group in the Philippines. Now no one is even remotely close to the kind of popularity that they have. And they hook their fans the same way because fans are so invested in the story. People participate in trying to decode exactly what BTS armies have actually done. Another thing is, another singer from Hong Kong is Gloria. So she did the same thing for one of Gloria is an album, and so each song actually had their own music video, and then it continues one entire story. So I think there were 11. I want to say 11 songs, and it completes an entire story. And then that story actually has several dimensions. So there are, and then of course, so groups in BTS, in Big Hit, they all have their own lore. But I think no one has done it as effectively as BTS because it's hard to find a team that's creative enough to actually write an epic that is as enticing and as relevant as the most beautiful moment in life. I think because the most beautiful moment in life is very contemporary. All others have gone through like superpowers, fantasies, and stuff like that. So it's very, it's like comics versus the narrative of BTS. It's very contemporary. So it's hard to find a team that would help you develop that um, that that quality where it's not just big but it's also relevant, something that we can relate to. And BTS actually have a team that supported them in order to create something like that. So that's one. So it's not that no one has done it. It's just that no one has done it in that degree. As I've said, the closest is SB19 um, from the Philippines. And then one thing that I realized is that fans actually resist this. Many fans resist when, especially in K-pop, when other groups are doing it, they don't wanna participate in getting clues, in expanding the narrative because they know that this is the strategy used by BTS. So out of pride, they're like, we're not going to do it because that's the strategy used by armies. And so it works against them just because the fans don't want to be accused of, the fans don't want it to be known that they are using the same strategy of BTS. Okay, so that's one. And then they have a long-term narrative. In for BTS, before they release the first of the series, the entire series is complete. And we know this. Like, for example, for the most beautiful moment in life, the storyline was already finished. But by the time they release the first one, they have a full storyline. So it's not very easy to actually, so like for example, for the most beautiful moment in life, all the way until young forever, that's one complete narrative. Even before they release the first one, it's always advanced. And labels don't like doing this because they're very concerned about short-term ROI, return on investment. So they're concerned, they want to make sure that when they release something, fans latches onto them immediately because they want to get their money back. And the thing is, even for the most beautiful moment in life, it took a while for them to get to that level where they were, so where people were really latching onto the characters and following the narratives and trying to decode things. But a lot of labels can't afford it because they want to make sure that it's an immediate hit to the fans because they need their money back, which is puzzling to me because at that time, Big Hit, as we all know, they weren't doing well financially, but they still made a bet. So Bob German, it's not that they're copying BTS; they're trying to ride their coattails. you, you're a lot of people have that impression because they're not doing it well. Because you're supposed to progress the idea, right? Because if you would if you actually sit down and think about it, no one has done it better. No one has even come close to what Michael Jackson did for Thriller, because you can't. The only way that you can actually utilize the same strategy that Michael Jackson did is to progress it, which BTS did. They progressed from how Michael Jackson did it. They progressed it in their own way. But right now, they're not progressing it. Like, just coming up with one or two music videos where there's a story is not enough. You need to invest in an entire narrative for your fans to actually stick to it. And the narrative has to be good, which they don't have, as they are not capable of developing great narratives. And so they're unable to utilize the strategy. Okay. And then BTS managed to do conceptual and traditional album in one. And they're one of the few ones who's done it. The only other act that I can think of who's done it this way is Beyonce with Lemonade. So Beyonce is both a concept album and the traditional album in that it has a story on its own. It has its own universe, and then it's also based on her own story, on Beyonce's own story. So BTS is one of the few artists who has managed to do a conceptual and a traditional album in one. But for you to be able to do something like this, just to be clear, concept is when there is one unifying idea of narrative. Example, Pink Floyd's The Wall, or BTS Map of the Soul, or as I've said, Beyonce's Lemonade. So for you to be able to make it one, both concept and traditional, in one album, you need to the artists themselves need to be able to translate their own concept, their own story, and then fuse it into the concept. That's a lot. That's high level of creativity. And you're only able to do that if you're like the RM level kind of creative, BTS level kind of creative, for you to know, okay, this story, my story, is going to feed into the larger narrative. Um, and then they're the only ones who's done traditional to new media storytelling, from games to webtoons. And I think it's primarily because the technology is going to move into an entirely different direction, meaning it used to be just TV, films, music videos, webtoons, and blah blah blah. I think in the future it's just going to be interactive social media, metaverse. So unless a new group manages to conquer those spaces, metaverse, gaming, and stuff, they won't be able to tell us. They won't be able to expand the strategy that BTS started. BTS did. I think the most technological they got was the videos, the games. They expanded it into games. But I think for the future, that won't be enough. There has to be metaverse, there has to be interactive social media, immersive concerts, stuff like that. So, okay. The story also needs to feel natural, like an organic story that grows and breathes on its own. Yeah, I this is actually surprises me because I thought one of the easiest thing to do is get a great team of writers to create an epic for you. But apparently it's not that easy because they haven't managed to do that. Either that, or as I've said, they're too concerned about the immediate ROI, that they're not willing to bet in creating a series of album to tell one type of story. It's one of the two. And then they have actually a living documentary with fans. I don't know if you guys are, or if we are aware of it, but what they're actually doing is a living documentary, meaning they are constantly documenting the projects that they are creating. So when they release an album, RM would come out with his own Weavers live explaining the process of creating each of the song. And then they have the production diary, and then they have the BTS, and then they have the documentary. It's an ongoing thing. And but BTS is able to do it because they co-create their own creatives, right? So they can talk about how it was made because they co-create everything. So which is hard if you're just an artist who's being fed the materials that you're singing. So it's that the living narrative translates to radical access for us. We're able to access a lot of the things that we are that the making of it, the process of making the art that they are presenting. But many artists in the US, so I've mentioned to you that I've been going to different meetings with different companies, just if there's an interesting job offer that we can explore or something. And one of the most common pushback that I hear from them is that artists aren't willing to be as connected and as open as BTS. So there's always this one goal for them, that is to create a community around the artist, the same way BTS created a community around them. And my rebuttal has always been, if, for example, if I had the community for the artists, I am not the artist. I can only for like set up the resources, but I won't be able. But it's not me that they are after. They want to hear from the artist, and if the artist isn't going to connect with them, nothing will happen. And there, the primary difficulty that they have is that there's always a pushback from the singers, the artists, because they for them it feels like, no, they just get access for my art and I will not be committed to doing a weekly live stream or talk about this or talk about that. And so right now that is their hurdle. How do you guide the artist in connecting with their fans? So that's one. Second is um, storytelling. Apparently it's a skill. It's a difficult skill uh, to have, because many don't talk well. So if you interview them, and I've always thought that this is something you can solve by giving them media training. But I guess you can give someone media training to a certain extent, but to actually be able to tell a compelling story, to explain to your fans how you came up with this concept, how you came up with this song, it's either you have to have two things: the willingness to do it and the skill to do it. And BTS have both. Each member of BTS, they actually have it. But many of the singers, many of the artists that these labels are signing, they don't have the natural skill of storytelling. And so it gets in the way of them creating all of those supporting materials that will allow fans access not just to the end art, the end product, but in the process. And even the labels themselves acknowledge that the process of creating it will be very important to the fans in the future. Because as I've said, because of AI, many of the songs that will come out will be created by AI. And the only way for people to learn which were created by people and which were created by AI is if the actual artists actually come out and say, okay, this is this song was created by me, a human being, and not by a machine. So that's their and a lot of them are very worried. Like, I've gone to two meetings already, and both of them, the three of them, are very worried about it because they know that's where the fans are headed, and they can't change. It's too. They don't know how to change the culture because it's cultural. For this artist to be willing to connect to their fans, it has to be innate in their culture. And also, BTS is the first. They still are not mainstream in the US, meaning they don't have immediate access to mainstream media. Although they are mainstream in popularity, meaning if you ask anybody in the US at this stage, they may not be fans, but they know BTS. But I don't think, because of the gatekeeping, because of the efforts to gatekeep, I don't think any other act will be able to do what they did or achieve what they have done unless they go through traditional route. And so that's why many of these labels are doing these things. They're changing the charting rules in order to gatekeep more, and they're hijacking K-pop. How? They're signing K-pop artists. That's why they're very open to having meetings with many K-pop artists. And the first three that got signed um, were members of Blackpink: Jennie, Lisa, and Rose. And then they're doing K-pop shows, and then K-pop Demon Hunters, all in the effort to own K-pop as well. So I don't think the creative strategies of BTS will be adopted. It's just a question of who. Can other Asians actually do it? Or will West, because they have the money, will Western labels be able to do it first because they have the money for it? But they don't have the culture for it. Asians have the culture for it, but we don't have the money for it. Um, okay, but the benefits of, yes, the benefits without working and engaging. Yeah, it's so interesting. That's always like the battle neck. That's always like whenever I meet with them, that's always the marching order, that you have to grow the community around an artist. And I'm like, okay, are they willing to actually grow the community? They need to communicate with their fans, right? And I'm actually going to use the same strategy that BTS used. Just make sure that talk to fans the process of creating this, how you created it, and it's always the pushback. They don't want to do it. So um, all members also give importance to the team, even if they are successful solo artists. So they really love BTS as a group. Fans can tell when the interaction is authentic or gimmick. That is what sets BTS apart for me. They clearly love interacting. Yeah. I guess it's just that I don't understand that. Um, and I in one of the conversations I had, I actually told the person I was meeting with, I said, I don't know, maybe this is a cultural difference because these are Western companies that I'm talking with. Um, and I said maybe this is a cultural difference, like this is a cultural gap. So I said, like, I don't understand why artists don't want to, at the very least, explain to people the process of creating their art, because I think that in itself will do a lot, right? Like the same way movies would actually have a night where the directors, the writers sit down and they answer questions, actors answer questions and stuff. Why can't we do that for artists? Um, and initially he was not, he was hesitant to answer it. And then he said, like, and then next thing that he asked me was like, have you ever been in a recording session with many of these artists, with any of these artists? I said, for Asia, yeah, but not for West. And he said that it's because a lot of it didn't come from them. So it's hard for many of these artists to tell the story because the story didn't come from them, like the idea didn't come from them. And of course you have the big ones, right? Like the ones that have control over their creatives. To them that's easy to do, but they also don't need to do it anymore. um, like Taylor Swift and Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, those people, they don't need, or Adele, but they don't need to do it because they're big enough. But for those smaller ones, that is why Cortez is going to do great. Oh my God, Cortez! I don't know if you've actually seen the documentary of Cortez. I'm gonna do a video about them. But this this kids are they're good. They're good. I'm surprised. I'm impressed actually. Megan and Sai are laying down the groundwork for more understanding. I hope I hope the end goal is understanding rather than. Have you seen Cortez documentary? Yes, so I'll do a video about it. I'm impressed with their skills. Yeah, I think I'm coming very very close to having a bias, but yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with their skills and how they're doing things. Let's see where it's gonna go. They're also really presenting it differently. Okay, friends were friends in real life. They were friends. They are friends in real life. Okay. Do you have questions? So that presentation was actually inspired by some of the meetings that I've been in, with some companies. It was very interesting that it's always about, build the community around the artist. And I'm like, okay, but are they willing to build it? You know? I can't build it for them. Like I'm not gonna, they're not I'm not the one they're interested in, it's the artist, right? So I can only provide the resources and the utilities and set up all these processes, but at the end of the day, if the artist isn't willing to do it, then there's nothing. I can come up with a great proposal, but if they are not willing to do it. James. Probably James. James Kono. Kono kasi reminds me of Joko. Such a young kid. I feel like they're my kids. They're not willing, let's be honest. Yeah. I don't know. Is that cultural? Is that is that cultural? The artist not being willing to communicate? I laugh when Western fans talk about authenticity when a lot of Western music is made in Sweden. Do you think KDPH will sweep award seasons? Yes. Yes. Do you think? Yes. I think they're gonna win a lot of awards. Yeah. I think it's stalker prevention because they don't want to develop more stalkers than they are already attracting. Taylor did mini fan gathering events. Yeah, and you see how she was able to build a community, right? But hers, she's still very, very guarded. Um, but yes, so that's actually one, and she adapted a lot of K-pop strategies. Strategies. Paparazzi ruined openness. Um, I think it's cultural. Musicians did not have to interact with fans on that level. Taylor is one of the few who actually do engage in that way. Yeah, and she was inspired by many people. So if they are not creators, it wouldn't be their real stories and fans would sensei. Yeah. So I had a good laugh when he said that. He said, "Oh, have you ever been in the studio in one of his sessions?" And it's like, no, not for a Western artist, no. And he was like, it's because a lot of it is not theirs. Even if their names are slapped on the credits, a lot of them is not theirs. So there's not much to talk about. And then he admitted that a lot of the Western songs, if you really want to make a hit, if you want to make a hit, a lot of the Western songs are really superficial because people, you know, this, that, you know, it's the TikTok generation. So they don't want any complex messaging. So they want to keep everything. It's not that they're not capable, it's just that they are not willing to do it because that's not the route to having a hit. So they make it intentionally superficial. And if it is superficial, what story are you going to tell? Right? Nothing. So okay. All right. 2 hours and 11 minutes. So before we go, do you have questions? Before we go, thank you for being with me. I'm sure Golden will be not. They're already campaigning for Golden. Yeah, they're campaigning for Oscar and Grammy, and they were open that they were campaigning already. So they, yes, definitely, yeah, Oscar and Grammy. Okay, do we have? My point is authenticity is met with loyalty by fans. Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel that American artists are detached from their fans. The K-pop industry seems more real. Could it be a possibility that the record labels dictate how the message is conveyed and sales? Yeah, they are willing to change it. That's the whole point. That's why they're creating this entire looking for people that would supplement their, yeah. They're willing to change it. It's just that the artists are not willing to change as well. Okay, the wrong golden kind of feel cheated. All right, thank you so much to everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you Wednesday. Okay, please spread positive things about our kids. Bye.